Hi, everybody. It's Karen Anderson with Aortichope, and we also have Greg Aaron Greenberg and Tammy Warner with us here today. This is, again, our second time trying our new format, going live to discuss all of the things that we posted in Facebook. And it's really for all of you that are not on Facebook to give you that same varied bits of information, fun and otherwise, educational and otherwise, that exists within the community. And this is for a week of August 9th. I'm just making sure I've got all my dates correct. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I might have to mute because I am having some respiratory thing. But yeah, let's get this started, Greg. Let's get going. What was our first one that we had of the week?
Okay, so we start with the 9th, and we start off with the fact that Aortic Hope has started a movement for movement. And as explained in Advanced Kinetics, an article titled Summer Exercise in Your Health, summer is in full gear and inspiring us all to get outside. Many people of all ages are utilizing the nice weather to exercise. Time of day, temperature, and humidity all play a role in how and when we should be exercising. When outside in the heat this summer, it is important to prepare for the hot weather. To read about the best recommendations for exercising during hot days, please click the following link below to the article, and you can find all that stuff. As we all know, doing nothing is doing something. However, many of us need some support to simply get moving, whatever that may be for you. So it's time to do something, anything. Just get moving. Following your doctor's orders, do whatever he or she has cleared you to do. This can be sit and fold laundry, walk to the mailbox, walk around the mall, stroll outside, walk around the house, especially that in this heat, and try the stairs. But whatever you do, just get moving.
Yeah, we started this movement for movement back in January of 2020, which was perfect because we didn't even know that COVID was coming and we'd all be locked down and have to move anyway. And I don't really think this is for the individuals that had been given clearance to go back to resume a regular or modified exercise routine, and they're doing that, or they're back at work, or this is really for many of the individuals who I think have been stuck with fear to do anything or something. So these articles are either being presented to inspire you, motivate you, or help you work through some of that. But I printed off this, and there were some of the things they were talking about will be interesting for us to chat. They were saying that, especially now, that exercising between 10 and 3 is not recommended because, as we know, it is the blazing hottest part of the day in like everywhere across the country because, it just has been steamingly hot. And actually, some of those hottest temperatures can extend to 4 or 5 p.m. So when you're thinking about exercising or doing something, just consider your schedule and your time of day. But again, just get up and do something. When are you guys, if you're doing anything, what are you doing and when?
I'm doing it mostly in the morning, but what I'm finding is if I don't hydrate the day before, I really notice it that next morning when I try to take a walk around my neighborhood. So hydration is really important, not just the half an hour before you go for a walk. It really does make a difference.
And it says it in the article. It says you want to make sure you hydrate the night before and drink right before you do something, and maybe even because you can get those smart waters that are full of electrolytes, and they come in different flavors now, and there's a couple of them out there. And I do not like Gatorade. That's not my thing, or Pedialyte, but I love smart water. I think they taste amazing, and they're supposed to really give you that extra hydration boost. Greg, what are you doing? Because you're in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Florida where we are definitely extending to that 5 or 6 o'clock.
And then it storms.
For me right now, it's avoiding the outside a lot of the times. It's making sure that I get the walk of my dogs done before 10 a.m. the majority of the time, because I'm not gonna lie, it's already pushing 90 degrees at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I go out, towel on my head, because let's be honest, with our community, we all feel extreme heat and extreme cold. That's really what we are going to struggle with. And I think that's where it's important where we talk about this with the summer. So I think it's figuring out what you can do inside your home a lot of the times at that height of the day to do it. The one other thing that I want to touch upon, only because there are going to be people that can do stuff outside and for our community, and the only thing that I want to add to this, because obviously this article wasn't written specifically for aortic patients, I want our community to understand that they need to be very conscious of photosensitivity outside during the summer as well. A lot of us are on medications,
Medication, yes.
certain medications like diuretics and certain class of blood pressure medication that make us very sensitive to sunlight. So for summer exercising outside, I just want to make sure that everybody kind of knows that we should probably be SPFing a little bit. Only for that, because the last thing we need is you to go outside, exercise, feel good exercising, and get burnt to a crisp because you don't know why you weren't out that long. But there are a lot of us that have photosensitivities with the medications.
Yep.
So that's the one thing that I really want to add. Other than that, what about
one
you?
of the other things, one of the things they talked about, which a lot of us really since COVID should have a pulse ox. I mean, now they're everywhere. You couldn't get them at the beginning of COVID, but you should have it in case you end up having COVID or something. You want to make sure your oxygen levels are high and excuse me, and that your heart rate doesn't shoot up high, because it does when you have COVID. But this would be more because your doctor should have told you your ideal heart rate. We're not talking blood pressure, because the blood pressure will recover. But for every degree that your body temperature rises above what it's supposed to be, your heart rate can increase by 10 beats, which I did not know that. So if you go from your typical, if you're normally at 98.6 and now you're at 99.6, your heart rate's going to automatically go up. And this can happen, as you were talking about, going around outside. And it says your heart will circulate 2 to 4 times more blood each minute on a hot day. So it's already in this extreme weather going to work harder. And this can actually lead to heat exhaustion or heat stroke, which was the final part of this article. And I'm not sure if all of you are really familiar with what those symptoms are, but let's start with the most mild thing, which would be heat cramps. Have any of you ever had heat cramps before? That's a new one for me.
My first symptom is usually my stomach starts kind of rolling. So I don't know if that's the muscle or not, but that's usually my first symptom. And since I've had my surgeries, I've noticed that.
So it says that heat cramps actually are a lot of excessive sweating, muscle cramps, and they happen with pain with exercising. And basically to reduce that right away, you just want to drink a lot of fluid, especially electrolyte fluids. And if the cramps start to last longer than an hour, or if you begin having any kind of heart issues, then you really should seek medical advice. And then I guess the second tier of caution would be heat exhaustion. And I really do think I had that when I was in Vegas. It was hotter during the day, but at night, that 90 degrees with the radiating from the concrete, that was tough. And you will experience sweating, cold skin, weak pulse, nausea, vomiting, muscle cramps, anything from tiredness, dizziness, headaches, fainting. And if you have these signs or symptoms or anything, then you really do need to kind of just stop where you are. You need to cool your body down, which is the easiest by wetting down your head to cool down your temperature, and just sip some water until those symptoms go away. Have either of you ever had that before?
I unfortunately, as an athlete and outside when I was younger in the summer and on blazing hot tennis courts, I have gotten to the level of all that. That first stage where you said like with the muscle cramps really start, that is 110% about dehydration and electrolyte levels, because our bodies go into, not to get too much into it, and I'll get corrected in the world of kinesiology, but our bodies start to go into anaerobic respiration, and you start giving off what's called lactic acid as a byproduct. And that's where the cramping, that heavy cramping really starts to set in. So like you said, you figure it out by the hydrating yourself, whether it be electrolytes. For some people, water can just do it. For others, they need heavier cases of electrolytes. I had it really bad as a child, to the point where full-blown which probably didn't help me as an adult, but everyone will laugh a little bit in our community hearing this. I was put on a high sodium diet to combat the fact that I was actually like went down like I was shot cramping on a field.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, you know, at the time when I was younger, that was the answer.
Right.
Obviously, in our community, nobody's going to condone upping the sodium, but that's where you
Mm-hmm.
look into things like potassium and other things. Eat a banana. Make sure that you know you have that sort of mineral in your body that's going to help with that.
So, and the only difference between heat stroke, well, there's a few, and heat exhaustion would be that your temperature hits like 103 and
Right.
you are just red and confused. And obviously, um, just don't put yourself in a position where that might happen, because you really then would want to have a buddy with you walking or being outside that could make that life-saving call. So it all comes back to, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where our heart rate's going to have to go up or our blood pressure goes up to help combat all of the extra movement, but movement is important. So just be conscious of your weather and your environment that you're going to be in. I mean, when COVID started, we were just walking around our kitchens, and we were live with all of you via Facebook. And even then, I had a watch that checked my heart rate. And if it started to go too high, I would walk a little bit slower. So all of you should talk to your own physicians, get your parameters and your guidelines, and just get out there and do something. Just move.
One thing that I found, I was worried about starting to be outside again. My last surgery was in April. So when spring came around and I did want to go back to my walking routine, I was afraid to do it alone. And I realized that that was holding me back. So I just set up a buddy system, and I knew who was going to walk with me each day. And if I didn't have somebody walking with me in the morning, I would find somebody to walk with me at night. But using a buddy system really helped me gain my confidence back.
I'll be your buddy. As soon as the
Yeah.
weather breaks, we can go hit the trail that's near
Yeah.
our home. That's great. I'm looking forward to that. All right. Hey, Kirk, we hear that you're hanging out with us. The question was, is that where you start vomiting? I think that it says here that you can end up having nausea for sure when you get heat stroke, but and the same with nausea or vomiting with either heat exhaustion or heat strokes. I'd say if you're outside in the heat and you're vomiting, don't deliberate on either one. It's time to get inside and cool your body.
When I experienced it, I was exercising, and I knew my stomach didn't feel well, but the instinct was to drink my water, and I gulped my water, and right away I was vomiting. So, yeah, it comes.
I think Tammy brought up the good point. You'll feel that stomach roll a little bit. It happens muscular wise. And I mean, we get very scared, I think, naturally, you know, when you vomit. And obviously it can be a sign of certain thing. But when you start feeling that, and like Tammy said, a lot of the times, cold water might not always be the answer.
Oh, I found that out.
You might want to go to more of a tepid temperature, because cold water will actually make the stomach muscles constrict. And if you're close to it, that will then instigate the vomiting.
What I've noticed is I get to that point much faster now after the surgery. And I'm trying to read my body again, where before I knew how far I could push myself. And I knew the feeling, but it seems to happen much faster now. And I'm not reading my body as well. So it takes some time to get back into that.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that is it for our first article. Let's head off to.
So we will move on now to Tuesday. And this brings up our topic Tuesday for the week. And it's about controlling your blood pressure. Controlling your blood pressure is extremely important, whether you have an aneurysm or if you had a dissection. I think we all know that. One of the topics discussed in the past with cardiologist Dr. Stacy Fisher, who we've had as a guest here many times, was how to best take your blood pressure if you find there's a difference in results between arms. Always be sure to consistently take your blood pressure using the arm that yields the higher result, as this represents what's going on in the rest of your body. Do check your blood pressure in both arms. Is there a difference between both arms? Check out an article about how different blood pressure in right and left arms could signal trouble from Harvard Health, written by Patrick J. Scarrett, and that link is included below. And
Well, regarding this
discussion.
article, it's so funny because before she said that, for the longest time, I would take my blood pressure in two arms and I would go with the one that was the lower. I'd be like, well, this one's better. And then one day she said, don't ever measure it in that one. Only do the one that yields higher. Now, of course, there's people that cannot take a blood pressure in a certain arm for certain reasons, prior surgeries, prior conditions. But when she said it, no, you take it in the one that's higher because that's the true reading that's going on in your body. Well, then it's like you feel defeated because things are higher. But when we say higher, in the article, it specifically states that people with an arm-to-arm difference of 15 points or more were twice as likely to have peripheral artery disease, which is your cholesterol clogging arteries, stuff like that. That's the disease. It's not anything that should be dismissed because these are arteries that are going to your arms and legs. But all of that information is meant for you to discuss with your doctor. But a blood pressure difference of 10 to 15, they do think that there is a chance that you could be at higher risk for stroke from cardiovascular disease. But again, we are not your normal person. You're not your normal patient. So this is just meant for you to have a different type of discussion with your doctor if you're finding that that's the case, because most of us don't have our arms checked. Like I don't know about you, but she doesn't check both of them in the office. She only does one. The tech does. So if you find it happens to you, I think that it warrants a conversation. Right?
I wish I had known this fact when I went into the emergency room for the first time. I wish I had known to ask them to do that. They did not do that. And I think my dissection would have been identified faster. So this is one of those little facts that you learn after you join this club.
Right. I will say this is a very interesting topic, especially talking about the differences in the two arms, because there's so many layers to it. Off the bat, like you had said, Karen, I hear so many people in the community that want to trust the lower arm number more than the higher arm number. Oh, well, here's the thing. There's nothing that's going to go on in your body that is artificially going to lower the blood pressure in just one arm.
Right. Exactly. Except for wishful thinking. That's the only thing.
It's wishful thinking.
There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing that's going to artificially the high number is going to be the trustworthy number. You might have one. If you get a lower, it's probably because blood is not necessarily, especially for those of us that have already dissected, we might see that difference. That's natural now.
Yes.
Okay. And then what Tammy's talking about with that difference, that exists in the emergency setting, at the point of dissection. So if you're an intact aneurysm person and you've never seen a discrepancy, and now all of a sudden there is a discrepancy, and it kind of coincides with other things that are going on or other things that might be symptomatic, maybe a little bit of pain you can't explain, that is definitely a telltale sign that helps diagnose a potential dissection or a rupture.
And like Tammy said, and what you're saying too, don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't rely on the fact that you think if you go into the ER, letting people know that you have an aneurysm, that they're automatically going to check both arms or both ankles, because they're not. So if you retain any bit of information and you have an intact aneurysm and you find yourself going in the ER, just regurgitate this one, advocate and ask, hey, can you take it in both arms? Because even as a dissection patient, I was just recently at an urgent care for a small issue, but they didn't even think to do it. I had to ask, and I was at an 11-point difference, but my cardiologist was not upset. So until your doctors get upset, you shouldn't get upset. But they won't necessarily just do it unless they're trained to see it. So you have to talk about it and bring it up.
Right. I think that's the important thing, is to understand that this is we're reading a lot of articles that are not necessarily designed just for dissectees and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I think that that 10 to 15, you see it and you're like, oh my God, I could have peripheral artery disease. That 10 to 15 exists in the dissection community. For those of us that dissected, that is very common. And now at this point that the arms are going to be off. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a sign of something else that's wrong. It exists. And like you
But
said,
again, if you do that enough, you'll know what's right for you. I think this is a good place to point out. For myself, I have a restricted arm because I had some lymph nodes removed. But if I'm in the emergency room and I think I'm dissecting again, I'm not going to say to them, do not do my blood pressure on that side. I'm going to say, please do the blood pressure on that side, because the risk outweighs, the information that we're going to gain from that information. So you really have to understand your own medical history and at what point you need to make decisions based on the moment, not what some doctor has told you before. So I have a restricted arm, but not always if it's going to save my life. So.
right. And that's an important thing that you just brought up, Tammy. And it's an important thing to apply because it's not just for someone that went through what you went through. I will say for our community, a lot of people like me, a lot of other people might have had a bypass that was done
Right.
subclavian or carotid, which
Right.
makes one arm less reliable to
Right.
get a good number than other arms. So like for me now, when the doctors ask me like, oh, which arm, it's better for me to get,
Right.
you're going to get a better true blood pressure out of my right arm than my left arm because I had the subclavian bypass done. So that is something that, especially dissectees or even aneurysm patients might want to ask their doctors.
Yes,
Because
it's
if
a
you
good
find yourself in an
conversation.
emergency,
Yes.
what is my better arm do you think that
Right.
I should be
You can't
having?
just Google, the list of things to do once you've dissected. You have to understand how it applies to you.
In addition, I think a lot of us think it is simple to take a blood pressure reading, but there's a lot of small tips that you want to keep in mind when you're going to take the reading. For instance, you want to really be rested for a good 15 to 30 minutes before you do it. So you don't want to necessarily do it right after you finish eating dinner because your heart is going to be pumping more, right? Right. Or after you just walked upstairs, let me sit down now and take my blood pressure. The doctors would say, if you want to get a true baseline reading, not one with movement, that's what you would do. And you don't want to really do it after you've had caffeine or alcohol or nicotine, because that's all going to skew your numbers. You also don't want to take multiple readings one after another in an arm that you've just squeezed. So there's some thought behind that as well. And there is a chance that you could have different readings between standing up, laying down, and sitting up. So that's important also. And you want to talk with your doctor about how they want you to be positioned when you take it. They may have some special requests of you when you do it. So, and there's a difference between the wrist cuff, which I know is a lot easier just to slap that wrist cuff on, position your arm and take it. But the truest reading that you're going to have would be from the upper arm. But again, these are all thoughts for you to take to your doctor and start the conversation and figure out what works best for you.
And it's also really important to track it and write it down. I know I have an app on my phone that for my blood pressure monitor, it just goes right to my phone each time. And then you can see trends. And that's also a really easy way to share it with your doctor.
And I'll add one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Don't be afraid to bring your blood pressure cuff to the doctor's office so that you can
Good
calibrate
idea.
it with theirs. Because the amount of people in our community that go, I don't get it. My BP is perfect at home, and then it's 30 point. We're not 100% sure that what you're taking or how you're taking it is.
Or the
So
situation.
don't be afraid to bring in, show the nurse how you take it, and then have them calibrate it versus theirs so that you can see, okay, it's 2 or 3, 4 points off, but at least you know it's true with what they're seeing in the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm. And that's Topic Tuesday. What do we got next?
We are moving on to Therapeutic Thursday.
Well, one of the things we can mention that happened was last week, right? Last week when we had our live event with Wes Michael from Rare Patient Voice LLC, located out here in Towson, Maryland. And if you get a chance to take a look at that video on our YouTube channel, you will learn a lot about what Rare Patient Voice does. And it's not just rare diseases. And to sum it up, they are looking for you to, they're giving you an opportunity to basically participate in surveys, questionnaires, discussions about a variety of topics, because the people looking for your answers could be educators, PhD students, pharmaceutical, medical equipment organizations. It's just a wide variety, and they're going to pay you to do it. So as soon as you sign up, they are actually going to be sending us a $10 gift for you to have signed up, because they know we use 100% of the funds towards our initiatives back in the community. But they pay for their surveys and for your time anywhere from $20, $25 up to $150. So it's a great opportunity for you to contribute, and they will give back to you as well. So we did that. So Kurt says that his doctors keep the blood pressure cuff on while he's in the hospital. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a time when I've been in the ER that my cuff ever came off. They just, because usually it's running automatically, but even if it isn't, I think now the standard protocol is to leave it on you, because it becomes yours. It's your germs, it's your cuff, and it takes less time. They can just hit a button versus having to rewrap and all of that. So
right.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're in the hospital, they'll leave it on. And they normally will have it set at, it could be 5-minute intervals,
it's
10-minute intervals.
Yes,
like Karen said, you might still leave it on, and they might only bring it in when the nurse comes in and she wants to do a reading at a given time. But anybody that's like admitted, chances are, especially cases like us and histories like us, it's going to probably be some sort of 5 or 10-minute automatic doing a read.
I swear, they set it, they lower it. I mean, they increase it to every 5 as soon as you fall asleep, because it always happens that when you've been admitted, you've been going all day, and it takes a half hour between readings, and then you fall asleep, and it's like every 5 minutes.
Yes.
I know I could be imagining it, but I swear, I think that's what happened. It annoys me. It's life-saving, but it still annoys me. Anyway, thanks for the questions. Keep sending us some more thought processes. We love it. Or send us your thoughts. All right, Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. It's Therapeutic Thursday. And here at Aortic Hope, we wanted to talk more about managing this as a chronic illness, so to speak. So we all know how we all know how stressful life can be without the added physical and emotional. Having problems speaking right now. Emotional pressures that aortic I know. It's a good one. That aortic pressure and that aortic disease can add to our pressure. However, we would like you to try something today. We would like you to try and walk away from your aortic disease for a while. Removing the burden of what we deal with on a daily basis can be so beneficial for us emotionally. We realize that for some people, this will be very difficult. However, you can walk away from it invading your thoughts or life for even just 5 minutes. We know it'll make a difference. You'll feel so much better. We know how tough this can be on a lot of us, but we'd like everybody to try. Some people might be able to push aside these thoughts for the whole day. Some might be able to only do it for 5 minutes, but either way, we would like you to try and lift some of those burdens. It will help your situation dramatically. And if you think it's too,
not a lot to say about this, the week I just came off of having, and so no, this look, and it was 1 week, and I know we always say here, today's a good day. We got that from our friends over in the UK, but this has been one hell of a week for me. So 99% of my day, this is all that's been in the forefront of my mind. Just not feeling good, just some stuff that kicks up everything that I felt before in the past. And I can't stop it. I have all the tools. I'm part of this group that gives you the tools, and it's not helping. But that's okay. I flipped it. And if I have 5 or 10 minutes, well, not flipped it, as it says here, if I can take 5 minutes, which was great because Love Island was on TV a lot last week. So I got to take like an hour and watch mindless TV and escape. But then it comes right back. So, and that's okay. You just can't stay in that place. And I think that's part of what we do that sets us apart, is that we do provide outlets and opportunities for you to escape, whether it's through a crazy, wacky contest or, just fun things that we're doing in the course of a week.
Baby's nice.
It's very important for your mental health is as important as your physical health. They're one and the same. They're connected. So one goes, the other one goes, and vice versa.
And if you don't think you have any idea where to even start, I can recommend a couple of apps. I've used Calm before. They have some free things on there. I've also paid for Calm, and they have great sleep stories or guided meditation. My Calm app ran out, so I decided I've been using a free one that's called Insight Timer. I know it's kind of a weird name. It doesn't seem to match what they do, but it's called Insight Timer. And they have guided meditations or guided imagery. There's all kinds of things you can pick from. And they last anywhere from 3 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on how much time you want to set aside. And the one thing that I've noticed is after participating in some of those, that somebody's telling me what to do. I've been able to do that meditation or pull myself into a calmer spot when I need it, like in an emergency room, or when I'm waiting for my blood pressure to be taken, or I'm waiting for the phone call to come in about what the next step is going to be. So it's something that you can teach yourself to do. But if you need help in learning how to do it, there's some great apps out there, or recruit a friend.
I think that's the key. I think it's finding what works for you.
Here's one of the things I do when I can't calm myself down because I hold my breath. I just go take a breath in, take a breath out, take a breath in, take a breath out. And my hand is always with me. So, because I know some people use like the worry stones and all this, and I was like, I can't make sure I always have those things with me. And since for me, it was holding my breath, even just during a typical day, I'll realize that my shoulders are up here and I haven't taken a breath, and I'll do this great big sigh, and I'll realize what I've done. So I'll just start, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I do it while I'm waiting for the CT scans. I do it while I'm waiting for my name to be called for blood work. So just find the tricks that work for you. Things that you didn't ever think you would have to have in your life. You might need to use those.
The key is you said it. Sometimes you have to call upon somebody and bite the bullet and realize it's better to call upon somebody than to sit and wallow by yourself. You just can't, you can't do it. It's
and you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't realize how far in you have fallen, or you don't know the therapy that's out there that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you brought up a good point, Karen. I think the key is a lot of the times it's distraction. It's finding joy in something that can be so meaningless, like an hour of television. Get lost. If you're having a struggle day, get lost in a Netflix block of TikTok. 6 episodes of something if you need to. And I think that's really key, is finding the joy in something.
Well, Karen, you never did the acrylic painting before your dissection, did you? That wasn't
me. No.
Yes. Yeah, that's not something that you did in your life before. It wasn't part of your life before, and you've added that in.
No, I've always painted, but the swirly paints, the freeform, was brand new since then. Yeah. I found myself last week when I did have to leave the house, sitting in a parking lot for an hour. I think I ended up on the phone with Greg at one of those moments, just sitting there. Like I just knew I couldn't go back home because it was just, now that's where my mind was thinking. And there was really no place to go. It was too hot to leave the air-conditioned metal bullet that I'm sitting in. So I just sat there in various parking lots around town watching TikTok, because it took the time, and I didn't have to go home and be.
I wandered around the library the other day. I didn't check out any books. I just wandered around the library because I was very stressed about some of my appointments, and I had time in between the appointments. I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to come home. So I wandered around the library.
Mm-hmm. So. I'm actually happy that some of the stores, I hate to say this, and I'm sad for all of you workers, but I'm happy now that some of the stores aren't open, because I can't, retail therapy is kicking my financial butt right now, but that's kind of a fun distraction too sometimes. So yeah.
I think Tammy brought up a good point with using apps and using anything at your
I just wrote
disposal.
That down.
Insight Timer.
Because especially for a lot of us in this community, you might make it through all day. And I know that what I'm about to say will probably resonate with a lot of people. You might make it through all day long. And now it's time for bed.
Because you
The
fake
sun
it
Now
till you
that
make
mind
it. Fake
is
it till you make it all day long.
now that mind is in overdrive and you can't sleep and you can't that. And that's where Karen, you introduced me more as a joke with TikTok, and we were enjoying her. But
Oh.
I started with ASMR just because the soothing talking of the person that I follow on YouTube, um, her soothing tone while talking helps me drift off to sleep quicker. Kind of
We do
shuts my
have
brain off.
we have an ASMR topic coming up in the next week or two, so we'll address what you're talking about with
Good.
her link. Yeah, fun
Yeah.
stuff.
So that's
There's
good.
nothing
But
like
what I'm
listening
saying
to
is that the
this
most
sound.
important thing is it calms me down. Calms me down, helps me go to sleep. And I think for a lot of us in this community, shutting your brain off when you go to sleep and actually getting good rest is as important
So,
as how do we
Greg,
make it
does
through the day.
somebody whispering in the microphone that calms you down?
You'd be amazed at how much it can calm you.
Just listening to the crackle of somebody's mouth, it just is it's so soothing.
We should do a whole night of just that.
There will
Just
be, I'm telling you, if you have it come up as a topic, it's going to be interesting because I might do this whole
I'm
episode
gonna
of
do
Week in
this
Review,
all night long. I'm gonna do this.
doing all sorts of stuff.
Like, do you feel that on your forehead? Oh God, it is so. She does, or she takes like anything and she goes. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
And you're
if
like,
you've never experienced, look up ASMR. That's all I'm going to say.
so good. It's like,
But-
take a bowl of noodles and squish your hand in it. It's like, oh, the sound is really, really
Right.
wonderful.
I mean, but again, even in that world, it's what it does for you. You know, for certain people, it's tingles on the back of the neck. And that's what it does. For me, the calm whispering
Mhm.
kind of shuts my brain off from what I'm thinking about.
Okay, now I know how to address you, Greg.
I don't have to. I don't have to
Just
be a fainting goat.
Instant. It's it's
Oh,
for some music set. They say music soothes the savage beast. Apparently, for Greg, it's whispering.
Listen, and I know, Tammy, you'll agree. They say if you're a parent, you have a child, whatever, that sometimes yelling at them is so ineffective that as soon as you take your voice down and you push it to a quiet voice, well, first of all, they have to hear you more. And second of all, they're not expecting it. And it's not so much that it's soothing, but you definitely garner someone's attention with that.
That's one of the first things a teacher learns. That standing in front of the room does not help screaming. As soon as you lower your voice, they all are like, what?
So that was our therapeutic Thursday. Hey, Diane Bishop. Diane Bishop will hopefully be with us next week to do this live format, and she'll be on here as a panelist with us as well. But hey, girl, roll Tide. So that was our Thursday, and now we're moving on to, what was it, Freaky Friday, because it was
Freaky Friday.
And Kurt made a very good point. If you're alive, it's automatically a good day. It's always a good day when you're mowing the lawn and not pushing the grass up, right? Is that the saying? It's something like that. I can't really remember, but yes, I think we all totally agree with you. Because at least you're here to tell somebody it's a pretty crappy day, but it's
good
still
mindset.
Good.
Always need
and that goes to everything that you talk about with flipping the script. It can be a horrible day, but we can still be blessed that we are here to go through that.
I just don't flip the script on myself.
Yes, we have all
all of this is easier. That's the key. All of this is easier said than
done. Yeah, exactly. All right, Freaky Friday was Friday the 13th. I don't even know how these bizarre
I am the most superstitious person you've ever met. I won't get out of bed if it says 7:13. I won't get in bed if it says 11:13. I won't put anything on the volume of 13. You didn't know that about me, Karen, did you?
No, but I'm taking notes because I'm going to have fun on April Fool's Day.
I don't want change that's 13. I don't want my bill to be 13.
Okay. I have learned something new about you. Very good.
It's important, and I'm going to utilize it to my advantage at some point.
I'm also I stuck my sister in a bathroom, shut the door, turned off the light, and did the whole Bloody Mary, Black Aggie thing, and then, told her that she was going to get a bloody kiss from Bloody Mary or somebody. I can't remember which one it was. I'm miserable. On Friday the 13th, of course. So
Are
yeah.
you the older sister?
Oh, absolutely.
She's the older sister.
What I figured.
But the
I'm
disturbing
the
part is
middle.
that she did this last week. This isn't a story from childhood.
Yeah, I probably did. I probably did. All right, Freaky Friday.
Okay, Freaky Friday. Now, this is important to realize that obviously we're talking past tense because it's a week in review. So this is about last Friday, which was the 13th. And while the 13th for a lot of people like Tammy is a day full of fear, in the name of fun, there's something to be said about true fear and anxiety and what it does to us in relationship to our blood pressure. And as read in Healthline, written by Joe and Katharina Stocksy, titled "Can Anxiety Cause High Blood Pressure?" Fortunately, anxiety doesn't cause trusted source. I don't know what
Get
that
there.
means,
Skip that part.
but
No
doesn't
idea.
cause chronic high blood pressure.
Blame it on the
can,
others.
however, lead to a short-term increase in blood pressure.
Yeah, that's definite.
Right. So I think that we all know that. Yeah,
White coat syndrome. White coat syndrome.
your individual anxiety. It's short-term for the most part. When you begin to feel anxious because of a stressful situation, your body enters fight or flight mode. This happens due to the activation of your sympathetic nervous system. During fight or flight, your adrenaline and cortisol levels rise, both of which can lead to an increase in blood pressure. Although stress and anxiety can cause high blood pressure, it's only temporary, and levels generally return to normal once you've calmed down again. To read more about the correlation, click on the link below.
Or just listen to us tell you it's totally true. Yeah, a lot of anxiety, fights and arguments with spouses or friends, just scanxiety, which is the anxiety of having your scan. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Very normal, temporary, just don't want to stay there. So again, it all comes back to environment and what you can control. And sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't, but just try to avoid those stressful situations.
It's not just your blood pressure. When that happens, your fingers might start tingling because all the blood goes to the middle of your body. And if it gets far enough, you can get those tingly hands, tingly feet.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to read yourself.
I think that's important. And I think, that short-term anxiety, listen, there are also people that live in a constant state of anxiety.
It's not good.
And it, like you said, it won't create what they would refer to as chronic high blood pressure, but it will create a state of higher blood pressure throughout a day than just normal in and out of one argument, like you brought up, Karen.
When I've been in a very high stressful situation that's short term, such as having the conversation with your doctor about when your next surgery is going to be or something like that, or they're giving you news that you've never heard before, I have stopped the conversation and said, I need a few minutes. I'm not hearing anything that you've said. You need to wait. And I've never had a doctor that was upset with me for doing that. Especially if they're having a conversation because you need to make a decision while you're with your doctor. I have said you need to just stop for a minute. So that's
listen. And it's not just stress, because I'm getting ready to go back to Disney, and I did talk to Ben Udelman, thoracic surgeon, my own cardiologist, my own surgeon, about what rides can I go on? Well, obviously nothing with the G-force is what I'm told. I'd be shocked if many of us with a dissection are told that we can, but nothing with the G-force. And I said, well, what about just, like these baby rides and, Tower Terror, things jump out. They're like, anything that's going to really scare you and get that adrenaline going, you just might not want to do 10 of those in a row, but we can go to haunted houses. We can laugh. We can it's not always a negative emotion. A lot of that positive emotion, sometimes you just have to remember to take a slower breath, because it's still impacting you the same way, even though you're happy. You just gotta, again, conversations to have with your doctor. Mm-hmm. We are not medical professionals. This is just
it's important to recognize with that fight or flight, those of us that are on beta blockers, the majority of your adrenaline is in theory blocked.
Yeah.
Right.
So you might even experience that fight or flight differently. I've talked about it with, and Karen, I think you've heard me talk about it with Joel, one of our Hope ambassadors, Joel Amos, with our interpretations of horror films. Both of us were horror buffs, and it's a little different for us now because you don't have that same fear level. Like because the beta blockers block some of that, oh my God, edge of the seat jump scare out of me, I don't get to it.
When I watch your movie, I am full of adrenaline, Greg. We can talk about that another day too.
No, we don't have to bring that up. We don't ever need to bring that up again.
Since you brought that up, since you brought that up about that fear factor, I had a conversation with somebody that was on the beta blockers, and they weren't feeling that joy, like a grandchild that ran into the room and jumped into your lap, and that you used to feel that joy. And so the person thought that they were depressed. They thought they were clinically depressed until they talked to their doctor and realized it was actually being blocked. So
right, that's a very important. We're talking about it from a fear standpoint, but there are adrenaline parts that are released with enjoyment and joy that are not the same as well.
Yes, it really.
There's also feelings that people that are going through menopause start to feel that impacts your heart rate and your blood pressure too. That's a whole other discussion.
Or your thyroid. Yeah, thyroid.
Or your thyroid, which could also change as you go into that. Yep. So I think that is our Freaky Friday, but still go ahead and yes, we will do something to freak out Tammy the next 13th.
I own it.
Fear the number 13. All
I
things
tried
13.
to hide it. I own it.
So there is some I can't say the word triskotobia. That's fear of the 13th. You guys Google that and hit pronunciation.
And it's awesome because I find it opposite. I wore it on God knows how many sports jerseys. And I'm more inclined to buy a sports jersey because someone wears the number 13.
I'm not even going to say it again because it happens to me when I see there's certain words that are on I never even told anybody this.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? Well, I'll save it for another day.
No. Oh, boo.
Well, there's I don't know what the condition is. It sounds like halitosis. It's ketoacidosis. Okay. I don't know why. Whenever that commercial, everybody knows the commercial that comes on and talks about it, and you could have ketoacidosis. My husband will hear from any room. I will say ketoacidosis, halitosis, massiposis, passiposis. I just go through I make up words that rhyme with every time. It's a different slew of words. I cannot see that commercial and not just say
all those
5 or 6 words. Just saying. Can't do it.
Pavlov's Karen.
Ketoacidosis, mastotrosis, halitosis. It actually feels good to me to say it. I think if I don't, something bad will happen. My house will flood or something terrible. Ketoacidosis, mastotrosis, halitosis, papaposis. All right, we are done with Freaky Friday.
We're going to move on to Scientific Sunday.
But, check out our Saturday, though. There's such a good Survivor story, even though they're all great. But Shanna Pennington Baird is so good. And it's also, I got to give her full credit for being a voiceover actress, but it is, just listening to her and watching the video, her story of what happened is, we should all listen to it. It's really, she did a great job sharing the story. Very inspiring. I think she's over possibly traveling in Ireland right now. I'm not too sure, but check out her story if you get a chance. That is on our YouTube channel as well. And then like it, please. And then subscribe and hit the little bell.
Subscribe. Most importantly, even to watch this, you will get notified about every time we have an event or put up a video.
Yep.
That's the most important thing. Liking and subscribing.
You comment, we'll shout out to you. All right, Scientific Sunday, Greg.
Scientific Sunday here at Aortic Hope. It has been proven that relaxing helps to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and so much more. This past Sunday was National Relaxation Day, and according to the holidays calendar, it is a holiday that's been celebrated since the turn of the 21st century and observed every year on the 15th of August. So we're talking not a lot of time. This is a rather new invention. of the last 20 years or so.
I like
But
it.
it's a holiday in which people are encouraged to take a break from their hectic lives and enjoy some downtime. It's a day for people to get out and smell the proverbial roses and reduce their stress levels. After all, stress is one of the leading causes of preventable death and disease. So it's important for people to give themselves a break from their day-to-day stressors. On this holiday, people are encouraged to engage in activities that will reinvigorate not only their bodies, but their minds as well. Some of the things that people do on this holiday include taking the day off from work, going for a relaxing walk or hike, or even just spending a little time vegging out on the couch in front of the television. No matter how you observe it, just be sure that you do it in a way that relaxes you and doesn't contribute more stress to your life.
It was a
To
fun
read
article.
all about National Relaxation Day, click the link below.
I don't know. I can barely remember what I did yesterday, but I do remember that I think I vegged out on like my floating little hammock in my hot tub for, I don't know, 3 hours. I was so pruny. It was ridiculous. Yacht Rock Radio, greatest station, looking at the trees, looking at the clouds, and just it was such a great day. It really wasn't hot. And I get in there, and it's like your meditation apps. Once I start floating and I turn the jets on low and it bounces me around really slowly from side to side, because I can't spin. It's not big, but it's enough that I feel like it's my own little pool. It's my adult baby pool. And I'm so relaxed. Yeah, it was wonderful. But that was my Sunday, part of it. I don't remember what else I did. No idea. I just realized just now that it was Monday, so you can't ask me. What did you guys do on Sunday?
Well, here in Maryland, we eat crabs as a relaxation. You get together with some friends and you eat crabs. And we have not been doing that because the crabs are so expensive right now. And we had made reservations with 2 other couples. We were just going to bite the bullet and have crabs. And they were supposed to be $99 a dozen, which is like outrageous. But we decided.
And they're not even jumbo, right? They were
not,
like,
right.
What, mediums?
And when we got there, the price had come down. They had enough that they did charge $77 for a dozen. But that's what we did yesterday. We met at a friend's house and stayed outside because it was so nice. We were near Middle River, right on the water, and we had a really nice afternoon. So,
Greg, did you enjoy tropical storm bands?
Yeah, that was pretty much me. I was trying to walk my dogs in between rain. So not as relaxing a day.
But you're going to have some more. There's like 2 more, Grace and another. There's like 2 coming right up behind that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, this side of the state was not a target when I moved here, but all of a sudden, since I moved here, it's like everybody's honing in on me. But I don't get it that bad. It's just when you're managing 2 dogs that don't like the rain and you got to get them out.
Yeah,
that becomes more stressful than.
You did not have a relaxation day, huh?
Yeah, well, you try to relax in between, and then you just stress out of like, oh my God, did it stop raining? Okay, let me get 1 dog out now. Maybe I can get 2 dogs out. Woohoo! And then you get back in the house and they run away and they don't want to be dried, and then that's stress all over again. But yeah, I think you can see a common theme for this week.
It's just one of those weeks.
No, but not like that. But trying to reduce the stress, the anxiety, the effects that it has on you. Even when talking about the movement, that is to get you moving. That is going to help get your mind out of some of these stressors and everything like that. Because nobody goes on a walk and suddenly feels stressed the whole walk, unless it's me with the dogs.
Right, that's right.
But nobody's going out for a casual walk to feel stressed during it.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see a common theme in this week, set up by the genius person who posted it. Or it could have been completely accidental. But I think you're seeing
it actually started off accidental, ironically, and then it ends up being something that was therapeutic for myself anyway. Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's like kismet.
Right. So, but there it is. As a whole, it's all about reducing this for us, getting out of our normal headspaces and the concern.
Yep. And that's just in time because we're like midway through August and we're already working behind the scenes diligently to prepare your entire month of September, which is Aortic Disease Awareness Month. And before that month even happens, we've got so many fun things coming up from now till the end of the month. We've got our support group meeting the last Wednesday of the month, right? That's 7 p.m. And if you have not already joined us, you can go on our website. You can click the link to register. You only need to register once, which is great. And then you will be notified when all of our support group meetings are. We just added an event for the Think Aorta US. Will be participating with a global Think Aorta event, and Aortichope is excited to be there and be part of that as well. So there's just a lot of fun things that are getting ready to come up. We're getting ready to add an event that's happening next Thursday, an arts and crafts event that'll be happening here live. It's just lots of things. You just check us out at aortichope.org, and you'll see all of those events under the upcoming events section and events section as well. And I think that's it for this week, huh? I think that's it. Hello, Sue from Northwest Arkansas. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, hit them up below and we will chat with you in this interesting format.
And I think it's important that not only can you get all the information about those events, but you'll be clued in if you like and subscribe to us here on YouTube. You'll get notice that these events are happening and when we go live.
And live just seems, I mean, look, the pre-recorded was great, but live is just so much more fun and we can interact. And tell all your friends, share the link afterwards on your Facebook page or your own social media site, because by sharing, you're just allowing other people who are survivors to find out about us just like you have. And they have a chance to be entertained by all of us.
And not everything is 100% only applies to aortic patients.
Yeah, really.
That's important.
Everything we pretty much talked about could apply to anybody. Is even blood pressure, because this is a silent killer. This can happen to anybody, and most people walking around with high blood pressure do not know they have it. I mean, we already know that you won't know you have an aneurysm, but
and there are plenty of other things. It can be kidney disease. It can be stroke. There's plenty of other communities that are affected by high blood pressure, not just has an aortic issue.
Anybody, anything that's inflammatory or creates pain and discomfort, you're going to end up ultimately with.
And there's your other idea. Anything like you were talking about with any sort of Crohn's, colitis, any of those chronic illness.
Yeah.
A lot of what we talk about can apply to everyone. Can apply to their own chronic illness.
And the caregivers.
And the caregivers will end up with high blood pressure from dealing with us.
Dealing with us.
So we like to share. All right. Well, I think we have an interesting week where we just started this week. Yeah, I'm not even going to bring it up because you're going to see it from us next week. But some very exciting things are coming out on our Facebook page. And if you're not part of Facebook, you will learn all about it next week. Same time, same place, Monday at 3 for this week's week in review. Right? Right.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
You too, ladies.
Bye, Greg.